Morning.
Morning.
Morning. All right, press room scheduling. As you all know, we've had a lot of changes in our scheduling for press room, but also throughout the whole plant. So what I wanted to do today was do a touch base with you on how we're scheduling the different parts of the press room. And I think we've got a pretty good cross-section of the folks that are from the press room today, so we got an idea of how we're gathering the information and then scheduling it. So the purpose of this is to go over the general information. How do we gather the information from the assembly lines, the different areas in fabrication, different areas in assembly, to generate a daily schedule for the press area. The way we schedule these various areas of the plant and the press room has changed obviously in a lot of different ways. And we're using a lot of different tools in the press room now than what we have historically in the past. Before we did a lot of counting of parts, see what we did have in inventories. There was huge structures and groups of people that cycle counted and so forth. We're trying to go away from that and do a little bit more automated way of doing scheduling. So the tools that we're using are SAP, Kanban, and shortage reports. So we'll kind of go over each one of these different things, and we'll start with the SAP. So SAP for the OLMAs, the term that you'll hear me say is COIUS. COIUS is simply an information gathering tool inside of SAP. So what I've done is for the OLMA area is go out and look at all the schedule for line 7 plus trilogies on line 6 and gather every single unit that would be generated through the OLMA lines. So with that outlook, we can go out and you see I've got a schedule made, OLMA schedule. So SAP goes out and looks at the schedule and says these are all the different units that will go through the OLMA machine, and it'll start listing all these different individual runs. I grab all of those runs and I put it in an OLMA pan blank scheduling sheet. So it's simple copy and paste from SAP over to Google, and then once it's in Google, it does a breakdown. Okay, these are all the different models. For those models, these are the doors we make, and then the doors we make, these are the blanks we make, and these are the parts that we need to make in the press room. So it all cascades down. Ultimately, what we end up with is a schedule that I hand out to the door value stream, the cabinet value stream areas that says, these are all the doors that we need over the next 2, 3, 4 days, whatever number we choose, through the press room. And it puts them in order as they would show up in the schedule. So you'll see Devin and I will have these copies of these things looking at our schedule boards and also the inventory racks to see what parts we do and don't have and what schedule cards are already out there. So that's how we're setting up the schedule for the OLMAs. The exact same information goes to the OLMA team that are making the doors for the blanks that you guys are making.
We've never been on the same page.
So now that we've ate the elephant, which that was OLMAs. OLMAs was the biggest challenge for us because of the 80, 90 different part numbers they deal with, and then all the different door blanks that you guys make. So that was really the elephant in the room was OLMAs, and I think once we got past that, it was much easier. Kanban, which we're very familiar with, we've done that on automatics for the longest time, but most recently we've added to the row shear. And I know there was a lot of concerns on whether or not it was going to work, whether it was going to function, we'd lose the magnets, we wouldn't get the right schedule, we wouldn't have the raw material, all those things. But to credit to members like him and the rest of the group, they've really been proactive about keeping track of what they have to run on the board, and it's essentially seamless now. I don't set any schedule for the row shear anymore. I check with Kim in the morning, what are you seeing? This is what I've got. I do an inventory of everything, put it in the system, and it's ready to go. Again, for the automatics, all the code or the cards are all color coded. So press 100 will have a different color than 103, etc., etc. And the reason we do that is so we can keep those different press cells independent of each other. So as soon as you see a green card, you know it goes to a particular press. But also we're doing it on anything that's high volume. So high volume runners like the automatics, we use Kanbans because it's much simpler, it's much more fluid. Plus it's transparent to the operator. They know what they do need and don't need to make. For shortage reports, these are all based off of inventory receipts. So today when Terry's running center wing covers, upright covers over there on 96, he'll take those and he'll have a card or a sheet that he fills out at the end of the day. And he'll put that number and that corresponding part number on this shortage report. So that'll add to our inventory. It'll say we made this many. But at the same time, every time a unit's going out the back door, it's counting those things off. So I will do all the receipts for all the parts made. I'm using tubing as an example because it kind of fits. You know, we've got several hundred parts in the press room. Tubing is a much smaller one, but you can see the different shifts fill out how many parts that they've made. I put all that into SAP and receive it, and as soon as I receive it, that's live inventory. So when we're making it, it's not really live until we receive it. Nobody else outside of our group knows that we've made it until that gets received. But once received, I'll run a shortage report. That shortage report goes out and looks at all 780, 800 different parts that we make in fabrication in the press room and tubing areas, and counts them all up and says, here's all the receipts that went in, here's all the deductions. It'll give us a shortage, i.e. a shortage report, that tells us how many we need. So you see a bunch of zeros? Those things are all covered. We don't need any of those. This is our available inventory. It says how many parts we have, and then it starts counting away day after day how many parts that we will lose over the course of the next 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So when we looked at what tools we wanted to use for each one of these different things, we really wanted to pick the one that fit the job the best. So for Kim's area at the row shear, we picked Kanban because it's a constant flow. We always use the same stuff. We have high runners, we have low runners, and it's very simple to card and tag those systems. The place that we couldn't do that with would have been like with the Alma door blanks, where we have 80, 90 different door blanks. We don't have enough slots and locations to hold all those different inventories. It would have been massive. So what we're doing on that one, again, is we're using that COIUS report with SAP so we can break it down to a much smaller group and much more easily managed. And then for the shortage report, obviously, when you're talking about 800, 900 parts for the press room, it's tough to keep track of all those with a Kanban type system or even using the COIUS report because of all the different parts that goes into every refrigerator. So we run a shortage off of that. So I think we've got the right tool with the right process.
And the parts don't stay in the press room.
Yes.
They go all over the plant.
And then, so obviously we've changed a lot of these different scheduling systems, and they're new to everybody. But I think in the last month we've made a significant change about how we are going about scheduling the different areas, and it's been eye-opening for me. For the 30 years that I've been in this is the most transparent, I think, that the schedule has been to everybody on the floor and everybody inside the scheduling organization. There's no secret passageways or anything like that. It's very simple and very straightforward how we schedule the press area. And something we don't think about all the time, what we do every day, we handle 500,000 pounds of sheet metal and raw materials through press room and tubing every day in cabinet fab. And we generate 200,000 individual parts every day. So we don't think about that all the time, you know. When Terry's putting a part in a press and boom, he runs it over, he made one. That happens 200,000 times a day. So we oftentimes don't think about how large of a role we play in the grand scheme of making 5,000 refrigerators a day. So I will leave you with that today. I thank you very much for your time, and I'll let you get back after it.
Thank you, Bob.